Ladies and gentlemen, I thought that this issue was resolved. I thought that this video by Glaive Keo wasn't actually going to be made. But now, I guess it's time for us to break it all down. I widely consider this to be the worst drama in Gacha history. Not because it's the drama that's like the lowest scope, or it's like the drama that's like the actual had the most meaningful consequences, but I think that this is the worst drama ever because it was so preventable. It feels like so many individuals have taken like a massive amount of collateral damage, that so many unnecessary things were said, and that this all started from one of the smallest, like the world's smallest domino, and then has ended up causing a massive amount of destruction. My takeaway from this entire 7 out of 10 matter, the entire Genozad drama, is that it was never that deep. It wasn't ever that deep, but people made it deep. The CCs made it deep. Naturally, right, the viewers reacted to the CC, making the issue way bigger than it needed to be. And now we're in a crazy situation right now where the end result is me getting blamed for everything as well, even though I was never even involved in the issue. And I simply made the sin, the grave mistake of being one of the biggest Wuthering Waves creator, and now I'm being painted as the frontline leader of toxic positivity by Genozad. So why don't we go ahead, get on into this documentary by Glaive, going over all the issues, going over the full context regarding this drama, and get down to the actual truth, the brass tacks regarding this matter. Let's go ahead and get right on into it.
Tectone mocks the Gacha community.
We gotta let them know that we're in charge. We're the Gacha community and we're proud. We gotta stop these bad guys in this community. They didn't like this as much as me. We're gonna take their channel down. Gacha heroes assemble! I'm gonna make an internet meme. I'm gonna make an internet meme on this guy. My name's Genozad. This thing that everybody likes is...
I'll be honest, the meme was funny. The meme was funny, and one of the unfortunate parts about, I think, Tectone's react over here is that we kind of are making a really big deal out of a meme that is actually funny, right? And then it's kind of like everyone that thought it was funny, which I think is a large portion of the community, kind of like is like, okay, like it's not like it was like that bad. And then it kind of like, in a way, delegitimizes the actual critique that Tech is making right now. And that's why I think there's been such an overwhelmingly negative response to this sort of take, right? That's why a lot of people are coming in and then saying, right, oh, like the whole like Jenna getting defended by Tectone thing. I think it's unfortunate.
Actually, really shit, actually. We got him, guys. Make sure to go like my Twitter post. Gacha community heroes. Good Lord. Jesus.
This is all of this. I want you to understand that these are all grown, middle-aged men.
You'd be surprised. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of 12-year-olds in the mix as well getting mad. Okay? We're being a little bit too generous over here, Mr. Asmon Gold. We're being a little bit too generous over here. Definitely not middle-aged.
That are fighting over a story about an anime girl.
The recent drama surrounding the Wuthering Waves 2.5 story has spiraled. A complex situation has been flattened and distorted, and a false narrative is starting to take hold. One that paints the entire Wuthering Waves community as a bunch of crybabies who have a meltdown anytime someone doesn't praise the game as much as they're liking.
And I think that's the narrative that's unfortunately been formed, right? It's this idea that you can't criticize anything about Wuthering Waves. Otherwise, you're going to have a gigantic group of individuals, right? Go in, start brigading your videos, and then taking your channel down. Unfortunately, there's so much evidence contrary to the matter. I could just go ahead and look at one of my tabs and show you all exactly what I'm talking about over here. The biggest problems with exploration in Gacha. And you want to know what the thumbnail of this vid is by Gacha Smack? Oh, it's just Wuthering Waves. It's Wuthering Waves 2.2 Avenolium. And this thing has like a 99% 99% like ratio. That's the truth of the matter. It just happens to be, if you make a good critique that's well-founded, people aren't going to get mad at you. But unfortunately, we have a lot of people creating the narrative that this is not the case.
It is an incomplete picture to say the least. My goal here is to set the record straight, rather than adding more fuel into the fire or calling out any single person for drama. I want to lay out the full timeline of events with context so that you, the viewer, can see the entire situation and form your own judgment. Before we dive in, we need to set some ground rules. A few disclaimers are necessary so we're all starting from the same page. First and most important,
I copyrighted the slow scroll in the YouTube comments, by the way, Glaive. I copyrighted that, and so you're gonna have to pay me commissions for trying to use this in yours. Okay? Like, have some fucking creativity, asshole. I definitely didn't steal one of your thumbnails. I definitely did not do that. Editor, it would be awful if you showed that one video that I made where I definitely didn't steal the style of Glaive's thumbnails, and then showed a comparison to his. Do not do that.
this is not an excuse for harassment. Going out of your way to insult a creator as a person, to send them vitriol or threats,
This is the unfortunate thing. When it comes to the gacha space and when it comes to memes, oftentimes people can mix up legitimately like funny jokes and then, you know, a bit of like a pointed discussion on the ongoing matters and then view them as harassment. I'm all for have a little bit of fun with stuff. Otherwise, you're just being like, you know, like a depressing person. But like, don't go ahead and get to the point where you're like, you know, actually genuinely insulting people, right? And then like, you know, wishing awful things for them, all of that stuff. There's a difference to all those actions, and there's clearly a line that you shouldn't cross at various times. And this is a situation, right, where I think it's very easy for people to cross the lines without knowing. But yeah, just don't fucking get to the point where you're like, you know, I mean, just think about situations, right? Don't be like a Mr. Pokey comment section.
that is never acceptable. This video is an analysis of public actions and their consequences. Second, two things can be true at once. Going out of your way to insult a creator over their personal rating of a video game story is, frankly, cringe. It is counterproductive. But at the same time, Genazad's reaction to the initial criticism went beyond a poor response.
And this is the thing. A direct reaction to his overreaction isn't really that big of a deal, right? You're allowed to feel upset if somebody insults you a shit ton. And you're allowed to make a response if somebody insults you a shit ton. But there is a limit to the amount of self-defense that's legal. For example, right? If somebody pushes you on the street, knocks you back a couple of steps, I'm pretty sure in most states, you're legally allowed to, like, take a swing at them. I think in most places, if somebody does that, you're legally allowed to take a swing at them. But you're not, like, allowed to kill them. You're not allowed to, like, beat them to death afterwards. But you probably could take a swing back and then be like, all right, stop touching me, bro. And again, this is not legal advice. That's why I'm saying I feel like you can. Because, well, depends on how hard they pushed you, right? And so it's just, does the reaction warrant the initial action in the first place? And I would say, yes, calling him a clapped walnut and then spamming 7 out of 10, or like, didn't watch the video, didn't pay attention, I'll call it a 7 out of 10. That's not a crazy overt overreaction. That's just a regular fine one to have.
It became an incendiary escalation that poured gasoline on the fire. We will
Yeah, that was Genazad's response to a T.
We'll be looking at both of these things. And finally, a personal note. Some of you might know that I have in the past defended Genazad during a separate incident where people were using a vulnerable moment of mine to attack him.
But Genazad is here too, bro. What says he care but hasn't even E6? F you, man. I cried like a mother, man.
That was a completely different situation, and I defended him because the attacks were unfair.
W. Glaive. I think that really shows a testament to the actual Kurobot community. Because you did have a couple of retarded apples, right? That were trying to use Glaive's stream moment as a way to throw stones. But the thing is that, well, let's just be honest here, that the Wuwa community self-policing itself didn't use that clear, obvious bullshit bait to add fraudulent evidence to the issue. They didn't use it. Part of that is because of Glaive, but I think part of that is also because the community can tell when like shit is kind of fucked up, it's a little bit stinky and not really, you know, promote that sort of stuff.
What we are discussing today are his own public actions in this specific conflict. The two are not related, and my goal is to be as fair as possible to the facts. With that foundation laid, let's get into what actually happened, and the story begins in an unexpected place, with a victory. To understand why things went so sideways, we first have to understand the community itself. There is a unique dynamic between the Wuthering Waves player base and the developer Kuro Games. Through a well-documented history of the developers listening intently to feedback and rapidly improving the game, an unusual bond was formed. The community feels less like simple consumers and more like protective stakeholders, deeply invested in the game's direction.
That's the relationship that most people playing a game should actually have with their developers, right? Specifically a live service game, or really not even a live service game, but a game that gets updates. That's what most people actually are familiar with when it comes to games, because there are oftentimes like situations where people take the norm that's in the Hoyoverse titles, where the devs literally do not give a fuck about you, they only give a fuck about your wallet, and they will actively do things that make your gameplay experience a piece of shit, because it will help maximize the income that's coming in. And so, that's why things like Genshin Impact still having locked talent mats, randomized weekly drops, all of that stuff is still in there. And it's just that sort of reputation is what's in Gacha at the moment, because Genshin, with its dog shit player, player feedback implementation, has set the standard. They've set the norm, and that's what people have expected in the Gacha space. And so it's weird. It's strange to see a company like Kuro and a game like Wuthering Waves do literally the exact opposite and put in more QOL in 1.5 years than Genshin has done across half a decade.
Heading into the 2.5 update, all of that investment was focused on one thing: the story's antagonist, Frolova. There was a very specific widespread fear. In gacha games, there is a predictable pattern where a compelling villain becomes popular, gets a tragic backstory, and a change of heart, and suddenly stops being a villain so they can be sold to you.
Y'all remember the Marco de Meatball situation? Don't worry, guys. I think Marco and I are on good terms. He got a little bit upset before on stream because I said, okay, he's being a little bit dramatic here by saying he's gonna quit the game if Frolova isn't characterized in the way that he wants. He got a little bit upset by it, but I think what it did was help build up a shit ton of hype for his reaction to the quest, because people now then really wanted to see, how is this guy that's threatening to quit the game, how is he reacting to it? Is it actually like a good quest and all of that? And so, honestly, I'm gonna be real. I feel like we really helped out on the marketing side over there. And I think as a result of that, right? And the fact that I was just like, I actually agreed with his take too, right? All that. I think we're good. I think we're good now. He was giggling. He was giggling when my name was brought up on his stream before. That's what I'm going to assume. Marco, if you're still mad at me, please DM me. But if you're not, I'm just going to assume we're okay.
It is a trope that can completely deflate any narrative stakes. The community was worried Frolova would fall into this exact pipeline. Content creator Marco Meatball put this into words perfectly, saying he was deeply concerned that the game would start justifying its monetization by dumbing down its characters, making the entire world feel cheap. He wasn't alone as well. This was the test. Could
He got 6K viewers on his stream? That's pretty good. Yeah, 6K viewers on YouTube is pretty good.
Kuro resist the easy path and deliver a story with teeth? And then the update arrived, and Kuro delivered. By an overwhelming consensus, the 2.5 story was a triumph. The community erupted. On forums and social media, people called it pure cinema, hailing it as a new benchmark for narrative quality. They got exactly what they wanted. Frolova remained a complex, compelling, and ultimately villainous character without a cheap redemption arc. This acclaim was also widespread. You had measured positive reviews from respected voices like Gacha Smack. Even creators famously loyal to the competition, like the community-labeled Hoyoshil, Mr. Pokey, gave the story a high rating. When your rival's biggest supporters admit that you did a good job, you know you've created something of genuine quality.
Man, if only Mr. Pokey was able to farm some W's from people saying that the Honkai Star Rail story quests were good. Unfortunately, I don't think he's ever going to be able to make that video.
So this is the scene. A deep deeply invested community celebrating a shared collective victory. The 2.5 story transcended being simple content and became a symbol, a testament to their faith in the developers being rewarded. It is important to establish this baseline because it shows this was a community celebrating, not one primed for a fight. Into this atmosphere of near universal praise, the first real note of drama appeared, coming from a content creator named Genizad.
Sorry, let me just take a look at this. Ooh, that's rough. All in a day? Glaive, what'd you do, buddy? What were you up to, bucko? Ooh, this must be a spicy video, isn't it? I feel like a Minecraft villager.
This is where the story actually begins. To understand everything that follows, it is critical to be precise about how it began, because the popular version of this story gets it wrong. Genizad streamed his playthrough of the story quest, and according to numerous accounts from his own audience, his engagement with the story was compromised.
A lot of people are spreading the narrative that Genizad's feedback wasn't from his actual audience. It was from a bunch of Hoyo shells that were intentionally a bunch of Kuro bots. Sorry, I got the tribalistic slur wrong. It was a bunch of Kuro bots going in and then Brigadia's comment section, right? But when the comments are saying stuff like, Genizad, I just wish you locked in as much for this Wuthering Waves story as you did for your Limbus Company playthroughs. Well, let's be honest here. Does that sound like somebody that is a Kuro bot if they're comparing it to fucking Limbus Company? And the answer is probably not. And this is like the unfortunate part about the situation is that Genizad's deleted that video, right? He's deleted the video that's contained all of these comments. And so the only way for you to get any perspective at all on the situation, it's to watch my video where I previously covered the issue. And right now, this is the only video on YouTube that shows that comment section. And then when we get into here, this is the worst comment on there. No amount of good storytelling can save a clap CC that has the attention span of a walnut. That's the most offensive comment on there. And this is the specific one where it very kind of clearly lets you know that this is a lot of his own viewers. It's just he never locks in the Woo-Wah story for some reason like he does with Limbus. It's double standard. And that's kind of just like it, right? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm just gaslighting everybody here, but I don't think you make comments like this unless you frequently view somebody's content. The idea that somebody would fake being a viewer to make a comment like this is like, that's so schizo. That's like so schizo and so off, it's kind of unbelievable. So unbelievable to the point where expecting it to be the actual truth of the matter without any evidence is fucking ridiculous. It's crazy. And so that's why that take, right, that it isn't his own viewers is so off base. And ladies and gentlemen, this drama is apparently so bad that it is going viral in CN. And it's safe to say, feel free to pause the video, people in CN aren't very happy.
He was seen talking over important cutscenes, constantly interacting with his chat, and generally not giving the narrative his full attention.
Said, and those are all critiques made by his own chatters and his own viewers.
You can have a look at this clip right here.
I'm gonna play a little bit of defense for Glaive over here, right? He actually had multiple clips, multiple examples that he could show, and I heard that this clip in particular, some people were questionable about it, and so we'll make sure to show another clip as well.
Uh-oh. Jesus Christ, okay. Well. 07. You love this art style? Yeah, it's actually pretty cool looking. I wish every cutscene just looked like this. Can't too expensive. It's probably hard to make these kind of cutscenes. I don't know anything about it though. I have no concept of how hard it is. With how much money they make, it's no excuse. I think it's more just like the time. I don't know how long it takes to make these. Probably pretty long.
So some people are, you know, kind of like saying, okay, the guy's like technically talking about the story. He's like talking with his chat. But for this example in particular, right? I don't think it's the worst thing ever, but it's also like, you could also like talk about what's on the fucking screen too. There's a difference between like, okay, this is like seeing the scene on Titanic where Jack and Rose are saying goodbye. And then you start talking about like the nautical, like fucking, oh guys, what temperature do you think the water is going to be? Like, it must be, like, close to freezing, right? Like, how close do you think both of these characters are to hypothermia? On, like, the ending scene of Titanic where the guy's, like, about to die, right? It's like, what do you think the buoyancy of those rafts actually are? You're technically talking about what is on the screen, but it's also, like, clearly that's not meant to be the focus. When Kuro made this, their goal probably wasn't, let's get people talking about what our budget was for cutscenes during this exact part. That's what we want the focus to be. Probably not, right? And so, I could see the angle where you're saying, guys, he's talking about the story. But it's also like, he's kind of not. Like, he's kind of, again, just think about my Titanic example. You're technically talking about the story, but are you focused on it? No, you're fucking not. You'd be talking about what's on the screen, not how much it fucking costs to make it.
Boku no Pico clears this, so true, King.
Okay, that part's pretty bad.
Let AI do that in the future, it will.
And after finishing
I've explained why I personally think this clip is like a little bit off, because once again, right, it's like seeing an emotional scene in a fucking disaster movie and then being like, oh, how much do you think that cost? It's like in Infinity War where Spider-Man gets snapped and then you see Tony Stark devastated and you're like, how much do you guys think the CGI for like Peter Parker disappearing cost, guys? I think it was probably pretty expensive to make Peter Parker just disappear like that. How much do you think it costs for all the Infinity War characters to get snapped away like that? Spoilers? Go fuck yourself. Now let's hear the supplementary clip that Glaive has prepared.
Already one of your biggest admirers. Thank you.
I'm out. Oh, never mind. React harder? Bro, it's just like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not gonna fake my reactions, be like, oh my god, there's no way. It's just like, I don't give a fuck, bro. Go watch YouTube if that's what you want, man.
You didn't.
I just don't care to do it. Damn, she's pissed, bro. I didn't clap.
Perhaps a silent mourning is more suitable for such a depressing piece.
Didn't clappy. Put a heartbeat monitor.
You're the first to say you found sorrow in it.
Okay, here's what should happen, guys. I need to make an AI, and I connect the AI to a heartbeat monitor on myself, and based on my heartbeat, the AI will create facial expressions and get hype based on how much my heart is racing, right? And that's how it would work. And it would get more fucking hype the faster my heart is racing.
So, what were you
What about that?
rolling for?
Wait, this was really bad. Wait, what is he even saying, bro?
Bro, you just called a guy named Loser a loser, but like, that's his name.
That's too general. The sorrow it conveyed is more than that.
You're right, that's his name.
Okay, after seeing that, I don't think anyone can dispute why people watching this could have been pissed. Is the critique from his own viewers that he wasn't paying attention at all to the story fair? Is that critique, ladies and gentlemen, after seeing those clips, is that fair? And so, yes, you could overreact to this and say that Genizad is like fucking Satan, the devil incarnate, for being distracted. But nobody really did that. They made a meme about him. A goofy 7 out of 10 meme. And then said, we just wished you locked in. Like you did for Limbus Company. Because I don't think he's fucking doing this during his Limbus playthroughs. All this does is it just 1000% validates every single critique that we saw in the comment section of this video. Right now, after seeing just those two clips, we can show more. 1,000,000% validated. Yeah, just for you because you don't give a shit about the story. He literally just said he does not fucking care right here. It was like, React, I don't care. I don't care enough to focus on the story. Sure, some of these are rudely worded, but it is pretty egregious what's going on in here. And when the comment literally is, You weren't focusing up, and that's what 90% of the comments are. You weren't focusing up. You were distracted. It's entirely 1,000,000% true. Again, there's a reason why there were no 7 out of 10s in this comment section. People talking about the score or the rating. They just said, no matter what your rating is, it's tainted because this is the type of shit you were saying during your react. To be fair, he doesn't care about overreacting. Well, clearly from the clip, he doesn't care about reacting to the story at all because he just went on like a 2-minute tangent about coding an AI to fake reactions for him while in the middle of dialogue. So it's like, like, I'm gonna be real. After seeing this, it's like, even if bro rated it a 9 out of 10, people would then be saying, how could you rate it a 9 out of 10 when you spent half the story just talking about other shit? Does your 9 out of 10 even make sense if you're over here just talking about other shit the entire time? Can you show his reaction to Fenrico turning into stone?
Only then can those who abandoned their faith.
I think he's locked in. He seems pretty locked in here to me.
Bro turned into cum?
Okay. That's just a joke. That's not that deep. I think that's actually a good joke to make. It's clearly actually directly a reference to what's going on the screen, and it's not like some tangential. It's not like some fucking tangential, like off base fucking shit. Like talking about how much a cutscene costs while it's playing. Yeah, but really, man, I mean, it's It's like a stupid joke, sure. I'm pretty sure his audience wasn't too upset about this. You guys might be upset by it. I'm not going to be unfair with how I view things. I'm not going to go in, and just because I don't like the guy, I'm not going to go in and then like fucking try to paint every fucking thing that he's done as super negative. I'm going to call it straight down the middle here. And that Fenrico thing, I don't think it was that big of an issue. It depends on your audience.
And after finishing, he gave it a 7 out of 10. His main justification was that he found the plot confusing and Frolova's dialogue too poetic, which diminished his experience. In a sea of 9s and 10s, a 7 will stand out. But the initial backlash came primarily from his own viewers and focused on his own process. Their argument was fundamentally simple. You cannot fairly judge a story for being confusing if you weren't giving the attention required to be understood. It is like skimming through the pages in a mystery novel and then complaining the ending feels unearned.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's clearly, right, due to a lack of either like diligence, a lack of presence, you don't know the stuff that's going on. And clearly, right, we'll never actually know how good Genizot is at multitasking. Perhaps when he was talking about Boku no Pico and how it relates to Wuthering Waves, he was actually fully registering, right? Everything that was going on during the cutscenes. I wouldn't have that expectation for most people, that they can, you know, talk about Boku no Pico and also focus up on the story at the same time. He might be able to actually do that. He might be like fucking superhuman. Yeah, he might be like a mini Tony Stark, right? But the thing is, well, his audience didn't think that way, and so they just gave him feedback based off of what they saw.
Critique itself becomes illegitimate because the person delivering it didn't do the basic work, or at least that's how people saw it. This gets to the absolute core of the initial conflict. As one person later summarized it, 99% of people do not care about the rating, they cared more about him not paying attention.
Guys, if you want your messages to be well received, sometimes you gotta word them in a way that the receiver will want to receive them. Saying Baldy is smoking expired shit from I don't know whose butt crack is probably a not that great way to start a meaningful discussion with somebody and actually meaningfully change their actions. I'm pretty sure most people are going to read this first sentence and then say, I'm probably not going to engage with this person or read the rest of it if I'm actually the recipient. Let's just be honest here, guys. I know it's funny, but still.
Paying attention. The community was policing the perceived fairness and diligence of his review rather than his opinion itself. The 7 out of 10 became a symbol of what they saw as low-effort critique, and that perceived breach of contract is where the fire actually started. So right now we have this contained dispute. What happened next turned that small fire into a firestorm.
One thing the Wuthering Waves community absolutely despises in the present day is critique that they think is bullshit. If you don't come in with your critique ready with like solid receipts, solid examples, solid reasoning for why you feel that way or why it's a problem, then the community will kind of relentlessly shit on you. And the unfortunate part about this situation is that Genocide, the guy that's currently getting shit on right now for making a bad critique, Genocide, he's gotten shit on in the past before for making critiques that have either been worse or at a similar level. Think about, ladies and gentlemen, the multiversal theory that Kuro games would be worse or at the same level of badness and greediness as Hoyoverse if they had started and made Wuthering Waves before Genshin Impact. He made that theory, published it in a video, and used it to defend Honkai Star Rail 3.2, the update that dropped global passives into the game with Casterus. And when you have a track record of making dog shit critiques that have the community shitting on you because they have no fucking idea what you're smoking as you're making it, and then you do it again, there's not really a lot of learning being done, is there? There's not really a lot of self-reflection being done, is there? Because we've seen what goes into making this shit pie, but we keep buying and using the same ingredients over and over and over again. But hey, he got invited to Kurofest, so what the fuck do I know?
In response to this criticism, Genocide had what can only be described as an on-stream meltdown, a crash out.
Comments mad because I yapped during story. I don't care what they think. Curl bots are a waste of breath, bro.
When you look at the example that we just saw of where he's saying, I don't care, I don't give a shit, or he's like goofing around talking about the budget of a cutscene, talking about the budget of a clearly emotional cutscene, isn't that some of the most fair feedback that a viewer could give? Isn't that feedback that you were yapping too much over the story a super fair piece of critique that somebody should like accept not that badly? But instead, this is the reaction to somebody making extremely reasonable critiques, or a group of people making an extremely reasonable critique from your own viewer base.
Curl bots are a waste of breath, bro. They're worthless. I do not care what those people think. I haven't even looked at the comments. I have a bunch of notifications on YouTube. Do not care what they think.
And then he deleted this video that he's referring to. The comments that he's referring to, he's deleted them all. And like I mentioned before, my video over here, it's the only place where you can find those comments now. And when you look at all the comments, I even do a Control F in here. None of them are bad.
You know, I'm down to read comments for videos. It's not even worthwhile reading comments when it's about Wuthering Waves, because it's just the dumbest humans in existence always comment. It's not worth it. They're too stupid to live. It's absurd. It's like, I like Wuthering Waves, but like, man, the online community is just insane, bro. Yeah, they try to pretend that they're so much better than Hoyo, but like, they're also shitty. Both can be shitty, man. They always say the craziest shit. Even though I play more Wuthering Waves than them, even though I spend more money on Wuthering Waves than them, even though I probably enjoy the game more than them, and that's why I actually give complaints about things that matter.
And people got mad at me when I made a hello officer joke after he smacked the shit out of his table, having an argument with his chat. Just so you guys know, I got crucified for making a hello officer joke because there's a clip of him smacking his fucking table because of a disagreement with chat.
You know what? Why am I being invited to Kurofest?
His defense of the review quickly turned into him lashing out. He made a series of inflammatory statements, reportedly declaring that the Wuthering Waves community Kurobots didn't deserve to live. He had stopped engaging with the critique and began a broadside attack against an entire group. He then compounded this by adopting a strange, elitist stance, suggesting his opinion should matter more because he had spent more money on the game, and he was invited to Kurofest. It was a bizarre argument that only served to alienate people further. Instead of addressing the calm critiques in his own comments, he went to Twitter. He found a few extreme tweets from random users.
And this is the meme, right? It's a funny meme. This is the meme that Tectone was doing is, Gacha heroes assemble! Right? This is the meme that he was talking about when he did that. It's kind of funny, bro. It's just a funny one.
Which reframed the entire body of criticism as a work of trolls, rather than the legitimate grievances of his own audience. This all eventually led to what many now consider one of the worst apology videos in the gacha space.
It is. We can talk about why, but I'll let Glaive do some explanation first.
Reactions from other creators found it to be a masterclass in non-apology. He was described as shadow boxing against arguments that nobody made, spending most of the video justifying his 7 out of 10 score while barely addressing the on-stream meltdown that caused the real explosion.
If you've been keeping up with the issue in particular, and then you watch his video, it's an incredibly frustrating experience. It's like you're at school, right? It's like you're at school, and then your friend goes ahead, trips you while you're on the playground, and then you scrape your knee. And then in apology, your friend goes up, and they're like, you know what? I should have just never, like, played with you in the first place. This is like the issue over here was that I was, like, going ahead and making the decision to actually, like, play games with you. And so that's like what led to like the whole like tripping thing happening. Like, and then they just talk about how much of a mistake it was for them to hang out with you in the first place, instead of addressing the fact that they fucking tripped you and you scraped your knee. And they spend the first 10 minutes of their apology talking about all this slightly tangentially related shit, but not the actual issue that you have a grievance with, which is you getting tripped. And you're just like, fuck, bro. Can we stop trying to, like, justify our dog shit actions for a second? Can we just, like, address the actual thing? That's the problem here. And that did not happen.
Top comment of his video put it perfectly. Bro will talk about anything but the crash out. 7 out of 10. It is important to be perfectly clear here. The personal insults directed at Genocide are, in no uncertain terms, unacceptable. Crashing out over someone's rating is cringe. But it is equally clear that Genocide's reaction was a disproportionate and incendiary escalation.
And the messy part about all of this, right, is that if you told somebody that they're too stupid to live for something very reasonable, and you call them a mindless drone, an idiot, blah, 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 all that stuff, how upset can you be with having mean comments directed at you? How upset can you be? The answer is, I feel like you can't really be that mad. Like, if I call somebody a fucking stupid idiot, and then they call me a poo-poo dum-dum head back, am I gonna start freaking out because they called me a poo-poo dum-dum head? The answer is no, I fucking deserve it. Frankly, I probably deserve worse, if we're being honest here. And this is the worst part about the situation, right? Is that CCs actually have a greater responsibility, at least in my opinion, to be able to regulate their emotions in situations like this, because they are the biggest escalators possible. There's only so much that like a couple of commenters can do to cause a massive issue. These dramas don't get big. These dramas don't get huge unless there's somebody feeding the fire. And Genocide took a Costco-sized fucking tank of gasoline and just fucking poured it all over with that crash out. And believe me when I say this, you can blame the 7 out of 10 as much as you want. You could say that the 7 out of 10 caused the issue. You're not technically wrong. But the 7 out of 10 was a very small burning ember. And then Genocide went over here, turned it into a blazing fucking inferno, and then started blaming everybody. You got mad at 7 out of 10! When all they did was create a tiny spark. And he's not addressing the fact that he poured a fucking metric shit ton of gasoline on that spark and create a gigantic flame. And then he keeps trying to go ahead and dodge accountability and even blames me. Fuck it. I'm just gonna show that shit again because I'm still pissed. Bro's even blaming me for the gasoline that he poured on his own fire. He's blaming me for the gasoline that he poured on his own fire. And then you want to know the best part? He actually has his dipshit viewers actively lying and supporting him by creating even more fan fiction about the toxicity of my community. He has his viewers lying and saying, I got banned from Saint's Discord for saying the Wuwa story won't make it in top 100 anime. And then this is their ban log in my Discord. They got banned for leaks. Imagine talking about my community when this is one of your biggest supporters.
Fundamentally transformed the conflict. It was no longer a debate about a video game review. By insulting the entire community, he made it a matter of respect. He was trying to win an argument. The community was now trying to recover from an insult. That is a very different kind of conversation. Now, the conflict was a public spectacle, and like any spectacle, the story began to change as it spread, losing its nuance. The conflict got spread into the wider Gacha sphere, where it was largely flattened and mischaracterized. The primary vector for this was the influential creator Tectone.
And unfortunately, I think Tech's gonna be getting some shit for a long time because of this. I think the general takeaway is that Tech made a take without a lot of the context and the information. But I will say, Jenna asking to come onto stream, knocking on his door, and then proceeding to, I'm just going to be honest here, I think Techie kind of got gaslit. I think that this conversation over here poisoned the well to such a high degree, with Jenna just coming in and spouting literally a bunch of bullshit. Jenna straight up misframing the situation. I don't even know if there was like, I want to say it's, like, I don't want to say it's lying, but when you think about what happened in this conversation, it kind of comes off as lying. Or just intentionally restricting any information about the situation from entering your brain, and then just forcing yourself to make a misinformed take to other people. Because what Jenna says here is either lying or completely misinformed and 1000% framing the issue incorrectly. Brother, how are you gonna get mad at your own viewers saying you were distracted and perhaps talking too much when you spent a significant portion of the story talking about designing an AI and the difficulty of coding an AI to fake reactions for you during a pivotal cutscene in the game? Like, brother, let's just be real here. Let's just be real here. That's what happened. And then going ahead and telling people that they're mad because of a 7 out of 10 when none of the comments are even saying that. This was kind of just misinforming Tectone, like right from the source. And this is unfortunately the issue, right? Tech and Jedizad have a good relationship. And when you're friends with somebody, you're oftentimes going to believe the stuff that they say without maybe looking into and getting all the receipts. If one of my close friends says something to me, I'm probably going to believe them. I'm probably going to believe them without asking for more evidence or more proof. And what Jenna did was, in my opinion, either intentionally lie or straight up misinform Tectone about what went on, and then Tech proceeded to make whatever take he decided to make based off that actual misinformation. And I think it's really unfortunate. I think it's really, really, really unfortunate how much flack he's gotten from the entire issue. Because I think that Tech has taken the most collateral damage possible from all of this. And I think a good portion of it stems from the misinfo that was fed to him during this call. That's just my personal take.
After hearing Jenazad's side, the complex situation was boiled down to a simple, dramatic, and incorrect talking point. Wuthering Waves fans are harassing a creator over a 7 out of 10 score.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Wuthering Waves community is so different from Genshin's community, huh? Yeah, only the Genshin community would go in on a content critic for giving something a 7 out of 10, huh? Oh, man. Man, oh, man. What a egotistical bastard. What a piece of shit. What a massive scumfuck degenerate. Oh.
And that's not why Jenna's viewers got on him. It's because bro was goofing around for a good part of the story, and we got the proof. We saw the receipts of it, man.
Hey, I warned everybody. Daddy was gone for 3 months.
And in a lot of ways, right, people viewed these statements from Tectone as essentially akin to a false accusation, where you're being told that you're bagging on somebody, overtly harassing them over a 7 out of 10, when you know that's something that you weren't doing. And in that case, right, there's going to be like an anger and a sense of like a need for like retribution after being falsely accused of doing something you didn't do. And in this case, it's like the woo-wah community feeling like they got falsely accused of making this 7 out of 10 the crux of the issue. When it, I mean, we can see, right? We've shown so many receipts. It never was. It was the smallest domino in the world. It was the tiniest spark. But then all these other CCs poured gasoline all over it. But then you're blaming the spark for being there, for being the main issue.
And look at the mess we've made. And here's the thing, man, I'm not cleaning it up this time.
This new narrative was patent. It was easy to understand, dramatic.
Don't worry, Tech, you didn't clean it up, but I did. I think most people are pretty well informed on the issue now. We've done some pretty intense coverage. Can you guys stop spamming that Obama emote, please? It makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong when I know I'm not. Can you guys stop spamming that one, please?
Perfectly into the drama farming economy of online content, quickly becoming the dominant version of events for outsiders. And yet, this version of the story is demonstrably false when you look at the community's history. Take the case of Doro44.
And I love that Glaive is using this example. This is the thing. Glaive actually made this piece of commentary. I just want to read it out because Glaive's commentary was so good here. If he rated it a 9, people wouldn't complain. That's blatantly wrong because Doro44 made a video 95% glazing the fuck out of Wuwa. And for the one small portion of the video where Doro was being a hypocrite about fan service, he got called out for it. It was actually a pretty relatively large-sized drama. Bro was glazing for 95% of his review and then made a hypocritical take in the last 10%. And then the community went in on the 10%. That was misinfo. Even though he had nothing but glowing praise for everything else. It's kind of direct contrary evidence to this whole situation going on about the 7 out of 10.
He made a video that was 95% praise, but even he received
95% plus 10 equals 100. I think it was 90% of the video was glaze. I personally think 10% of it was misinfo, 90% glaze, because his portion with hypocrisy, not misinfo, his portion with hypocrisy was 1 minute long of an 8-minute video.
significant backlash. The reason? The backlash stemmed from a very small segment where the community felt like he was being hypocritical about his stance on fan service. Compared to other games, right? Their issue was with the perceived lack of consistency and fairness.
Yep.
Similarly, the drama around the creator EO saw the community push back because he had a habit of posting incredibly vague critiques. When he was asked for clarification, he would crash out. The core problem
Guys, where do you guys think the origin of the word glue came from? It's because EO made a critique about Wuthering Waves, said what was wrong with the game, and one of his line items, like the header point, it lacks glue in the systems. I'm sorry, bro. I'm just thinking about it right now, and it's still funny. It's still funny. The Wuwa community does not have a me, and it lacks glue in its systems.
was the complete lack of substance. Looking at these cases together, a clearer pattern emerges. This isn't a community that rejects criticism. It is a community that rejects what it perceives as low effort, bad faith, or hypocritical criticism.
Hopefully, Smack doesn't view this as a call-out, because Smack himself has recognized that he's made kind of some boo-boo critiques for Wuwa in the past. Smack at one point uploaded a TOA video, right, where he talked about the problems with TOA. And one thing that he does that people were not very happy with in that vid was say, there's something wrong with it. I don't know how to fix it. It's not my problem. Kuro can go figure it out. But there's something wrong with this game mode. I think Smack himself has recognized. I think he said, right, in a video, that was like slop content. He himself called it like a slop video. And then everything moving forward from there when it comes to critiquing Wuwa has been extremely high quality. That was the last time that he did it. We had a bit of a spat over it because I was like, okay, like this video seems like a little bit stinky, right? We had a bit of a spat over it, but then everything he's come out with since, bullseye. And you can just see it here. 99% like ratio on a video critiquing exploration in Wuthering Waves. This is what it looks like when a CC has a negative experience or negative feedback, learns from it, and then adapts moving forward and only gets positive results since. Another example of a CC that has done this process is none other than Vars 2, where yes, we had a bit of a situation, right, with his team building video where he got a lot of info wrong, said a lot of weird stuff, made some questionable takes. And then everything he's uploaded since has been absolute cinema when it comes to Wuthering Waves. There are so many track records of CCs that have made some questionable critiques about Wuwa that, unfortunately, right, because it was closer to the release of the game, December of last year, that was when, like, the whole bad take thing, the bad critiques were really like at like their peak. And then that's why the Wuwa community, at least in global, has such a like obsession with punching down on what they view as bad criticism, because unfortunately there's been a track record of some bigger CCs doing a little bit of that, right? But then they correct their behavior and move on. But unfortunately, when it comes to Jenazad, he makes the bad critiques. There's a track record of them, but he doesn't learn from them and then keeps making them. And then he's getting upset, calling the community toxic, saying that the issues with everybody else, when every other CC that has gotten this same criticism has learned and improved from it, yet he's the only one that can't. And it's the community's fault now. Even, fuck it, we can just talk about Tectone, where Tectone wasn't paying attention to the story, and then Tech goes ahead, admits he got fucked over by the sponsor timing, and then tells people he renegotiated with Kuro Games to get more flexible timing on his story sponsors so he can pay more attention to it. Every single one has gotten negative feedback, learned from it, and then improved moving forward. Except him. When it comes to Genocide, everybody else is wrong. And that's why people say he has a huge ego. And this is the thing. Tech said he has had a huge ego. But simply knowing that somebody has a big ego doesn't excuse their behavior when it's this fucking bad. And you see so many examples of other people in the space who are able to learn from their mistakes. But this guy's ego is so bad, he can't, and then keeps repeating them over and over again. And that's why this drama's gotten so big. And that's why people are calling him the pirate software of gacha gaming. Because the similarities are uncanny.
The entire drama boils down to one thing. This community has a powerful, almost allergic immune response to misinformation and, for the lack of better term, bullshit.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And that's why, when you want to critique Wuwa, you gotta put some work into it. Unfortunately. Right? You can't just make some willy-nilly opinion piece about what you think is a problem when it could not be. People will dig into you because there's been a track record of bullshit critiques made in the past, and people are sick and tired of it. And unfortunately, Wuthering Waves hasn't been out for very long. It hasn't been 2 years yet. A lot of this is very fresh on people's memory.
They get mad when they feel someone is making things up or arguing unfairly, and they will call it out. This is where the toxic community label becomes such a useful, powerful rhetorical weapon. It allows a creator to preemptively invalidate any criticism by framing the community as inherently
They're just mad because I'm toxic. I'm gonna make, like, Genazad's approach is, I'm gonna make a dog shit take. And when people get upset at me, I get to call them toxic. And then when I clearly misframe them as being toxic for simply disagreeing with me, they'll get even more mad. And then I can say, look, you proved it. I'm toxic. Or you proved it, you're toxic. And you wanna know the worst part about all this? That's exactly what bro did. There's a segment of his stream the other day where he literally talks about how he's just getting proven right because of how negative the community's response is.
Like, I'm gonna be real, guys. Wuwa drama is so dog shit. It's such dog shit drama. It's just, it's not even interesting or fun. Any of the ones that I've seen or been a part of, it's just like, it's not even good drama, man. Like, stuff like pirate software drama, that's good drama. Wuwa has such low class drama, man. It's so bad.
It's ironic that he's saying Pirate Software's drama is good when his is like a direct analog to Pirate Software. Like, it's the same photo. I find that to be one of the most ironic statements that you can possibly fucking make. Because Pirate Software is all about not being able to take accountability, not being able to say that you're wrong, not being able to say sorry properly, and those are the exact same things that he's on the shitbed for. Like, not being able to recognize how similar the two dramas are is just how big this guy's ego is. I literally think it's dangerous for him, not for like the space, but it's dangerous for him.
It's a shame, really. Yeah, it's just like, basically take small thing and blow it up into the most absurd thing possible nonstop.
Do you see how he's blaming the community for blowing it up when he's the person that poured all the gasoline on the fire? He's blaming the community for getting offended that he said they should go die. He basically said they should just re-roll IRL. And he's saying that them getting upset by that is them blowing up the issue. Do you see what I'm talking about over here?
That's what it is, really.
And guys, this is his stream right before he went to Kurofest. This is his stream after the apology video. This is after his apology video. He's saying this.
It was all because of a rating. And people will, no matter what, they'll try to do mental gymnastics to explain why it wasn't because of the rating, but because of other things, but people were mad from the start.
Bro's saying, bro got one meme made about him that's pretty funny. Bro had one meme made about him and then says, yeah, everyone's so angry and so mad.
The stats didn't lie, man. I saw that shit day one. Day one before anything else happened. Day one, people were already wanted to be mad. That's how it was, man. Me crashing out is the reason why this all started, but people already wanted to hate from the very beginning, thinking that I love Hoyoverse or thinking that I hate Wuthering Waves. They're so delusional, man.
And guys, what do you think having an entire 1 hour segment where you proceed to blame and talk about how what you did wasn't that big of a deal, and you spend an entire segment blaming everybody else? What do you think this does? What do you think this does when it comes to this drama? Having a 1 hour segment where you just blame every other person for the situation that you're in. So we just talked about how Jenna's all about how the community is like proving him right because he makes an incendiary take. The community responds in kind, and then he can just repeatedly say that they're still being toxic, that they're proving his point for having a negative response to his clear rage baiting. And it's kind of like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It's a foregone conclusion. You're always right there, and it's a catch-22. It's kind of disingenuous.
Any pushback, no matter how well reasoned, can simply be dismissed as more proof to that toxicity. A tactic that shifts the burden of proof from the person making a flawed argument onto the community trying to correct it. With the
Yep. If you respond, you're proving his point. If you don't respond, then his point doesn't get contested. It is proved by default.
narrative completely distorted, the conflict seemed destined to burn on indefinitely in a perfect feedback loop. And then we got a pivotal moment of de-escalation. This came in a form of a recorded stream call between Saint Tontus and Tectone. In this conversation, Saint Tontus acted as a conduit for the community, methodically laying out the full nuanced context. He calmly explained that the initial issue was about the review process, and the subsequent firestorm was a reaction to personal insults, separate from the 7 out of 10 score. And I
don't know if Glaive addressed this, but Tectone literally said on this call, he misfired with his takes. He literally said that. He said that he wasn't specific enough about who he was referring to, much like Genozod apparently was. He wasn't specific enough about who he was referring to when he was talking about the toxicity of the community. And instead of talking about players as a whole, he literally only meant that very like sheltered off community of freaks on Twitter, which unfortunately every single game has. And so I think it's like a lot of people are kind of like in the situation where, well, now you explicitly called out woo-wah for something that almost every single game has, right? Because you're explicitly calling out the toxic online sheltered vocal community. But every game has that, right? Every single game Infinity Nikki has like that sheltered off community. So it's kind of like, right? Bit of an issue.
think this call seemed to work. The immediate creator-on-creator conflict cooled down. However, as the heat dissipated, the focus of the conversation began to shift.
Well, I'm gonna be honest here. Unfortunately, Glaive, it has not cooled down. And you want to know one of the big reasons for why it hasn't cooled down? Because Jenna gets himself into these dog shit situations. He gets himself into these awful fucking situations where he says some dumb ass shit. And you want to hear what Jenna says about them? I'll show you. Here's a clip from my Discord.
It's Saint and 90% of his dick riders. Well, I would say his cult of dick riders. I would say like, 90% of the hate comments I got are him and the community basically. He can deny it however he wishes, but it's not a coincidence that anytime he watches a video and dislikes it, suddenly there's a ton of hate comments. Like, what a coincidence.
You can see how unaware Jenna is about how the Wuthering Waves community responds to criticism. You would know that all the videos that get Saint rated with dislikes literally are filled to the fucking brim with misinfo about woo-wah. There are so many videos that I react to that get an incredibly positive reception because they don't have blatant misinfo in them. But there are still plenty of creators, right, that I've reacted to, called out the bullshit in their video, and then they get dislikes. What's the problem? Oh, the problem was I reacted to a Genozod video filled with misinformation, and it got a fuck ton of dislikes. Does that mean that your ZZZ videos are filled with misinfo? No, my ZZZ vids get posted on a ZZZ Twitter community and then get dislike bombed after that, even though they're filled with facts. That's what happens, because nobody ever criticizes ZZZ, because ZZZ has a creator program that does not allow you to criticize the game. And nobody makes ZZZ content, except for me, unless they are in the creator program. Because nobody wants to play the game or make content for it unless they're getting paid. Find a ZZZ creator that makes frequent videos that isn't in the partner program. And Fobmaster does not count because he doesn't fucking make any videos.
Yeah, a majority of the comments are absolutely ridiculous. Like, you look at them and it's like, what the actual fuck? Like, they're just complete bad actors, obviously. Mostly spread from Saints community? Well, obviously. Double down and stoke the flames? Well, there's just really no point to.
I like how he read out that message, double down, stoke the flames, and said, well, there's no point to, when he literally just did it. He literally just did it and then said there's no point in doing so. This guy might be retarded. That's why this drama is not dying down. And when you have Genizod going into public discords and then repeating all of this misinformation, that he has proof that I'm brigading him, that he has proof that it's all my viewers, when he literally can't have it because YouTube does not show you the analytics of a video until it's 3 weeks old, and his video was deleted when it was 3 days old, he's actually just lying again. And so, yes, I made another video farming the shit out of brother, right? I posted it yesterday. You can't criticize Woo-Wah. I posted it yesterday, and now I'm farming the shit out of him again. And that's why this drama is getting reignited, because this guy does not know how to shut the fuck up and say sorry. It is not a skill in his possession. It is not an ability in his repertoire. And at this point, it's getting so blatantly just absurd. That's why people are calling him pirate software, and that's why people can't stop making fun of him. And because of his actions, the community is currently in this state, but he's going to keep blaming the community for making him an LOL cow, a lol cow, and that label is only on him because of his own actions. But you will never hear him say that. You will only hear him deflect, blame, and shift accountability. I have to assume it's one of his fetishes. Bro probably goes into an airport, yells bomb, and then points to somebody else.
As often happens when these conflicts widen, the discussion moved from the specifics of the incident to a more general systemic problem. The new subject became the broad, abstract concept of gacha tribalism. This shift in focus, whether intentional or not, had a clear effect. When the conversation turns to a massive issue like tribalism, the actions of any single individual naturally fade into the background.
You just implied he's a terrorist? No, I didn't. That's what he's probably gonna say. He's probably going to say, Saint made a joke about me in an airport. Oh, he said I'm a terrorist. Oh, poor me. Oh, poor me. He called me, oh, not again. Oh, hey, the guy that's telling his own viewers to go re-roll IRL because they gave him a light point of criticism is now going to make an exceptionally huge deal out of me making another joke. Oh, gosh. I guess the sky is also fucking blue. Hey, the sky is also blue, ladies and gentlemen. Genizod crashing out and then overreacting to people making jokes. It's a fucking combo. It's a match made in heaven. Like that one time where I said, hey, officer. Yeah, fuck it. We'll just show the clip. We'll just show the clip and talk about how this guy's been a fucking pussy in the past. A trigger warning, ladies and gentlemen. Trigger warning. Actual trigger warning. This might give you PTSD if you have divorced parents. Oh, he's probably gonna joke. He's probably gonna be offended about that one too. My bad. He's probably gonna be offended by that one too. Shit. Hey, well, I guess the laundry list just keeps going.
Okay. What are you fucking people not getting?
It still scares me.
Okay? I literally said from the fucking get-go that this is going too far and overstepping. Do any of you fucking morons still not understand that? I literally said that from the start. Okay? I'm done with you fucking idiots for the past 10 minutes saying, well, actually, it's going too far and it is a leak.
They're talking about contracts and NDAs. That is the framing of this conversation. They're talking about NDAs. And this guy got this fucking heated over them. I made a joke. Hello, officer? And then he got up in arms. Oh, Saint accused me of being a wife beater. Oh, he's so bad. Oh, how can he do this? Oh, it's such a disingenuous thing to say. Oh. This is the guy telling people they should go die over gacha game takes. Getting caught up because somebody made a joke out of him performing MMA on his fucking furniture because of a disagreement with chat over an NDA. How did I even get shit for this in the first place? Suddenly, it's just a little bit of ego. It ain't that big of a deal that he told his viewers to go re-roll IRL over a disagreement, over a light point of criticism. Yeah, not that big of a deal. You made a joke about him beating people up after he just on stream smacked a piece of furniture for almost no reason? You made a joke that he's a violent person because he was a violent person on stream? Wait a second. That's unacceptable. How could you do that? Grow up.
It becomes a discussion about the entire forest, and the specific trees that started the fire are easily forgotten. It is a much broader and in many ways easier topic to discuss than a messy personal controversy. The unfortunate consequence of this pivot, however, was
I wouldn't say violent, but short temper fits. No, that's violent. Sorry. I'm gonna be honest. I think that if you're somebody that breaks things, it's inherently a little bit violent. Even if you're like a person that like threw your controllers and stuff, like let's say you got murked, right, in Call of Duty, and then you threw your controller at the wall and broke it, I think that's a little violent. I think it's probably something that you would want to get checked out and stop doing. I don't think he broke that table. Yes, because he weighs 90 pounds. He weighs like 90 pounds, and so he doesn't deal enough. His strength stat is literally 1. He's not strong enough to do any actual damage, but the fact that he's trying to is again, this is like you being in like the wilderness in old school RuneScape, in like level 100 wilderness, and then like a level 3 player comes up and starts attacking you, okay? And all they're hitting are zeros. It doesn't matter that they're not doing damage, they still try to attack you. Yeah, it's like Jenna hit the table and then like the blue 0 from RuneScape came up. With like the miss sound.
that the community's original legitimate grievances were largely left behind. While the interpersonal drama between creators found a path to resolution, the core complaints about the review process and the subsequent insults ended up being sidelined, and so the drama quote-unquote ends. Now,
I wonder what Jenna's stat spread looks like in D&D. Now that I think about it, bro probably has like a min roll in like 4 out of 6 of the stats.
With a resolution to the central issue, but with the conversation changing entirely, setting the stage for similar misunderstandings to happen all over again, just like it did 5 months ago and 7 months ago. We are going to fight the same battles again and again and again and again and again.
Well, this is the thing, brother. Unfortunately, the issue just will keep going. The issue will keep going as long as Genizad keeps blaming everybody else in this scenario. First, it was his own viewers. Second, it's the Wuwa community as a whole. And then third, now it's mine. Because every single time something like this happens, it is somebody else's fault.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is?
This was never truly about a 7 out of 10 score. That was just the spark. The conflict was a domino effect. It began with a review people felt was unfair because the creator seemed distracted. It blew up when the same creator had a massive, insulting crash out on his stream. And finally, as the story was picked up and retold by other big creators, it was simplified down to its most basic parts.
It's such a simple issue when you look at it. And the issue is so simple that you see how it got distorted because of the blatant misinfo that Jenna was peddling to everybody who would listen. You see how distorted the actual story got, and then you're just like, wow, this really was nothing. This really wasn't that big of a deal. But because one guy exploded the issue, and then just keeps lying about why it's an issue, what the big deal is, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger because we just decided that we weren't going to tell the truth on the matter because we needed to save face. We needed to paint ourselves in the best light possible, and we couldn't, for a single second, take any accountability at all, to the point where we're deleting videos so that we can try and change the narrative that way, when all we had to do was just make, not even an 8-minute, a fucking 4 to 5 minute apology video. And just talk about how it was wrong to shit on your own community like that. and that you recognize, yeah, there were moments where you were fucking around, and then that's it. But instead, it's 22 minutes of deflection, 22 minutes of bullshit, and 22 minutes of bragging about Kurofest. What a time.
Using the complicated truth in the process. This brings us to the label toxic positivity. What this incident and others like it show is that this label is often a rhetorical weapon. It is a tool used to dismiss a community that, as the evidence suggests, values the fairness above the praise. They are not fighting against criticism. They are fighting against what they perceive to be misinformation and bad faith engagement.
And this guy, he's made so many dog shit critiques in the past, I don't think Genozod knows what a good critique is anymore. Because when you have a track record of making multiversal theories, when you have a track record of saying that Wuthering Waves' 40 pull rebate event is dog shit, but then HSR's free Archer light cone at 200 pulls is the best thing ever, and that you should just go, let me find the quote, get bent if you didn't save up for the collab, but Kuro Games making a 40 pull rebate event on a patch that gives you 100 plus is predatory. Brother, people will just look at your track record and think you're spouting shit every single time you open your mouth when it comes to this game. And it's not your fault. Or sorry, it's not somebody else's fault that people don't like your takes. It's your own fault for making dog shit takes in the first place. And when you have a track record of dog shit takes, people are going to think that your future takes are also going to be dog shit. Why do you think EO's nickname was, in the past, Bad Take EO? You have a track record of saying Hoyo prohibits VAs from working with Kuro? Oh, did you not see the part in the video where I said there was a theory? Or when it was clear that it was a theory? Oh, wait, you didn't see that. Because I have multiple hypotheticals in that video. And that's why anybody that talks about it gets laughed at. Because that means that you're intentionally not listening to the stuff that's in the vid and then picking apart a narrative that you feel like making based off of incomplete information and incomplete interpretation. And that's what Mugen did in his video. And you know what Tectone did? He called Mugen out and said, that's not what's going on in this vid. And to frame it this way is kind of disingenuous. That's one of the rare Mugen L's. Oh, it's also my second video I ever made. Yeah, I have almost 1,000. So, yeah. The fact that people are digging back to the second video I ever made in an attempt to discredit me shows you how pathetic these individuals are. That's why every single time somebody tries to bring it back, everyone laughs them out of the room. Why do you think it's never been brought back yet? Because people know that the point you're making is full of shit.
This is the same battle that has been fought in this space for months. A reoccurring clash between a...
And I openly talk about it in my videos as well. So it's not like I'm hiding it. Because if I was trying to hide it, I would unlist the video too. But it's been live every single day, and it's never been unlisted. That's how little it actually means.
Player base that values substance, and a content ecosystem that can at times prioritize spectacle. Well, ultimately, this conflict is a system of a deeper dysfunction. The exasperation from the community, the feeling of talking to a brick wall. It stems from this fundamental breakdown in communication.
It's Jeddah being a fucking ding-dong. What else can I say? Bro can't take accountability. Bro can't say sorry. Bro has a fetish for finding some way to unload this baggage that he's created, this baggage that he's put together. It's like his fetish to unload it on everybody else in the space. Community members, CCs, whoever. He'll make a mess, and it's somebody else's job to clean it up. Because God knows he'll only make the fucking mess worse. God only knows he's gonna make the fucking mess worse. And all you have to do is just look at the videos that I've made covering the topic. Bro talks about how he doesn't want to get involved in drama, yet bro over here is the biggest escalator of every single drama that he's been in. He escalates it all by himself. And the fact that he can't recognize it is just baffling. Take some accountability for the first time in your life, brother. You are the biggest instigator of your own problems. And the sooner you recognize that, the sooner you can start fixing things. That'll be that. That's the story of 7 out of 10. That's why I call it the worst drama in Gacha history. Once again, not because it's the highest in scope, not because it's done the most damage, but because it's such a stupid, ridiculous situation fueled by one clapped walnut CC that can't take accountability and in the process has taken down numerous comrades with him. The amount of collateral damage that CCs in the space have taken because this guy can't fucking apologize properly is insane. And that's why this drama is just so, so damn bad. That'll be that, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you all thought. Great video from Glaive and an honest interpretation of what's happened. See y'all later. Next time.